Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us here on Facebook Live. This is going to be a lovely little Q&A, a fireside chat, as we talk through Christmas Carol and some of the different choices that we've made. We want to thank you all that are tuning in, especially those of you that'll be coming in while we're talking. We can't properly address you. I know we have Roxanne is watching right now. She plays Christmas Present, Luke's wife. We have Hunter is watching. He plays Tiny Tim in the show, so that's really fun. I don't know if I properly introduced myself yet, but my name is Robert Leslie Meek. I'm the director of Christmas Carol, and this is...
Oh, hi. Yes. No, I'm Luke Hales. I play Scrooge in Christmas Carol over at Clear Creek Community Theater.
So, we're going to start this conversation off with me just sort of talking about the idea of the play, the world of the play. We'll launch into some questions about Scrooge, but we want to invite all of you who are watching to ask any questions that come up. We will try to answer as many of them as possible, so fire away, and we'll have someone read them to us eventually. But when I first learned that I was going to be directing Christmas Carol, it was sort of a daunting bit of news to learn. It's a very large cast. We have 26 people in this production. The tech elements are very big. There's a lot of set pieces that are literally moving all over our stage. We have over 80, I think between lighting and sound combined, we have almost 200 different lighting and sound cues together. It was a tremendous undertaking. And if you've ever been to our theater before, you understand that, or acted on the stage, that the space is not that big. we don't have that much room. We certainly don't have that much fly space. So figuring out how to move everything around was quite the challenge. But for me, and as I think with many people all over the world, Christmas Carol is one of those stories that has resonated deeply with us for different reasons, and has made people, take Christmas in a way that they may not have before. For me, I've always loved the holiday season. I think it's tremendous fun. We have a lot of people that tend to give more and are just in higher spirits towards, as Fred says in the play, we're fellow passengers to the grave and not people sent to different destinations. And even I was reading the other day when Charles Dickens wrote Christmas Carol, after the night it released, charitable giving went up by, it was like 60% that year. I mean, it was an insane amount. So obviously this play has resonated with a lot of people, and so to learn you're taking a piece of everyone's sort of nostalgia of Christmas and really a piece of everyone's childhood and putting it on stage was quite daunting, and at the same time very exciting because of how much it means to all of us. So I knew very early on that I wanted to make it maybe feel a little different than the Christmas carols we've seen over town and in movies before. And when you're reading Dickens, you're very aware of the class struggles between all these different people and everything that they've gone through. And so I really wanted to make sure that the play felt grounded and it felt based in reality. And so we've added a few scenes here and there where we actually see the weight of the Cratchits' financial issues pressing down on them. They have a conversation about monetary needs and being able to feed their children. And it shouldn't feel like here's this Christmas extravaganza that happens. It should feel real. It should be a moment of sincerity when you listen to them. And Fred's friends should feel more narcissistic and a little more inflated about the way that they feel about Scrooge, because he is a bad person at the beginning of the play. He's by no means someone that at the beginning of Christmas Carol you should not aspire to be. And so I think we wanted it to feel harsher and colder and harder, and it makes the payoff worth that much more in seeing how far Scrooge has come from where he was at the beginning of the play to where he is Christmas morning. after the spirits. So some of the ways that we accomplish that, at least I think we've accomplished it, hope is that throughout we have a lot of set transitions in the play that I decided very very early on that I didn't want to hide. So we have our actors moving the pieces. You don't actually see any of our crew members. They have their hands full backstage. Yeah. But all of our set changes are done by the actors, and they all have different moods that they were to go through. So Christmas Eve, at the beginning of the play, there's wind going through most of the transitions. It should feel very cold, and then Christmas Present comes in, and she's this embodiment of light. And in the original text, Christmas Past rather is a candle, is a flame. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted. We have a very talented actress, Hannah Pickle, is playing Christmas Past, and so in working with her and seeing how she was acting, we decided very early, like she is elegance, she is light, and so to have her acting that way, those transitions needed to feel the same way. So everything moves very smoothly through Past, and then we get to Christmas Present, who's portrayed by Roxanne Hales, Luke's wife again, who's tuning in. Hi, Roxanne. And she is just.
She's a cartoon.
I mean, she's Christmas joy. She is everything that the Ghost of Christmas Present should be. And I remember in the audition room, I don't know if you've heard this story. In the audition room, she came in and she was I think the fourth or fifth person to read for Christmas Present, and she read with Luke. And as soon as the scene was over and they left, my assistant director and I just turned to each other and went, "Great, that's it." Next, all right, we've got that person cast. I mean, she's done a phenomenal job, and because of her joy, similarly, we want all of the transitions to be representative in that joy. So things move quickly and pleasantly, and everyone's very joyful. Even the actor Gabriel Rigojo, who plays Bob, he moves the fireplace a lot for us in the transitions. And if you watch carefully in the transition from when they rotate the fireplace and reveal the Cratchit fireplace, he's doing like a little skip in his dance. It should feel fun and enjoyable, and then we get to Future, and Future we've done very interestingly. I decided I didn't want Future to be the same Future we've seen over and over again. That ghostly
fog and
moss
and just
and
eerie music and
the bony hand. Yeah, it's we've seen it, and so I thought, I was talking to my assistant director and thinking on my own as well. I thought, what is a different way? What did the spirits mean? And so with Christmas, with battery died. Is the mic still live?
Mic's still on. Just tell everyone to stand by for a moment.
So, stand by for a brief moment. Our our camera battery died. Is the Christmas music still playing?
It's about to.
Alright, Christmas music coming back. Hello everyone. We had a little technical difficulties. Our camera battery died. Is it back up? Is camera back up? Pictures here?
Oh, good. All right.
Good. So we won't subject you to the Luke and Robert radio hour. I think
it'd be quite fun.
Yeah, sure. Ha! Where we were talking about the spirits, the spirits of Christmas, and so Christmas. We talked about Christmas Past and how she is light. We've made her. I mean, we couldn't between our budget and sort of the way that I saw Christmas Past. I didn't necessarily want to take her too traditional as to be the candle, the flame, but more so light and what light means and so she's in this all white, very almost like a. I mean, it's very icy.
It is. She absolutely is. I think that's one of the things I enjoy most about her is not only should she have that icy cold. When you look at her, like the thing that's most prominent, she's got everything's so silvery and white. She looks like Snowfall. She looks like literal like an icicle. If an icicle was walking, except she has those really hard eyes. The way that her makeup's done, and so that's what you see is these piercing eyes, and they just get so hard to look at through parts of the performance. She's so good. She really is so good.
Yeah, and we talked about this a lot too. But how people look at the past and how Scrooge views his past and what it means for someone just to every day be sitting there and thinking back on memories, because they're always heightened one way or another.
Oh, yeah.
And so we see in past, I truly think in past we see the best memory of Scrooge and the worst memory of Scrooge, and it's things that he hasn't thought about in a long time.
And then he gets that extra bonus one there at the end too, one he hasn't seen before.
Oh yeah,
that's a great bonus scene. Thanks, past.
Yeah. And which is kind of interesting too, because at the very beginning of Past, she guides you through the streets as we lead up to the schoolhouse. But then from there through the breaking off of the love between Scrooge and Belle, all of that there is a past version of yourself in. And then in our script he is forced quite literally by Past to watch Belle and her new husband have a conversation, and in the script she refers to him as Mr. Scrooge in that final scene.
Yeah.
And I think that really, really, truly cuts deep to him, because one, you had never seen that before.
Yeah.
And then two, to hear her, the one person who continuously, called you Ebenezer and would never have called you by your full name or even just your last, to have her have that detachment is something that I think is truly, truly heartbreaking for you.
It's not a long scene at all. It's maybe 30, 35 seconds tops, that little scene at the end. But it's one of the hardest ones I think I have to play, because I'm simultaneously just broken. I'm so broken by it. It's like, well, there's nothing there. She has completely forgotten me, and at the same time, I see that she's okay. She's okay in her life, and so as horrible as it is to see this, I can't help but feel a little bit of weird sort of happiness in that role, and so I've got about 17 different emotions. It's like, yay for her, but God, this is horrible for me.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things going through my head. I don't know how many of them transfer. I could just look, like a dude frozen in place. I have no idea. But that's what's going on. If you watch the play, there's a lot of stuff going on in my head. So that's like you can just think of that.
I mean, we see this. We certainly see this. The strain. Our Christmas holly just jumped.
God.
The ghost of Christmas past is upon us.
Christmas past perfect imperative.
Live TV, things happen.
I'm not worried. So we lost feed, and now this is happening. Pretty soon there's going to be a spirit come out of the fireplace.
Absolutely, it'll consume us. The ghost of Marley himself will come down and drop a bunch of chains in our lap, and we may just...
Let's talk about Marley for a minute. Because Dylan is doing a great job in that role.
Yeah, so Dylan DeWitt, he plays Jacob Marley in our production as we continue this conversation on spirits. And
did you like that segue? That was a segue. Yeah.
It was... we talked from a pretty... Because he knew... He was another one that almost right after auditions, we knew that's who he was going to play. And so we talked to... I talked to him a lot about what it means to... As cliche as it sounds, to be Marley. And the weight of all those chains. Now, luckily, he doesn't have to act too hard about the weight of those chains, because a lot of the chainery is quite real and quite heavy. Our first, the first night we had him in full costume, we went through the scene, and he went, "Great, okay, that's my workout for forever."
Yeah.
But we've got him mic'd up as well. And that gives us this opportunity to, in live mixing effects and with his voice, to really drive things home, and kind of gives us an interesting perspective into the mind of Scrooge too, because something that I thought about some was whether or not, I mean, Scrooge sees Marley. Marley says how it is that you can see him tonight. Is something, even though he sat beside you for many a year.
Whoa.
He can, which is a lot to think about too. 7 years of your business partner sitting there, watching.
Yeah, it's not creepy at all. No.
And so, I think something him and I talked about is whether or not Scrooge sees Marley because Marley is there, or if Marley finally has the ability, the energy to project himself just to Scrooge.
And maybe that is that last time. He knows it's the last time. He doesn't, because the way it works out, the spirits are coming for him, and so maybe it's like he throws every bit of will he has into that one brief exchange, and it's like, this is it. Remember, you won't see me anymore. I'm gone.
Yeah.
Please repent. Please.
Absolutely.
This is your last chance.
This is it. This is all that you have. And I think it.
Holly keeps
magic. I think for Marley, there something that you don't see often, and I think it's for the right reasons, is you don't really get a redemption of Marley.
No.
You don't have that, end of Star Wars with Ghost Marley sitting there. Oh, there he is.
No,
he did it.
No Jedi robes for Marley.
And I think that's correct, because Marley was a bad person, and he was not a good. He doesn't get his wings. He doesn't get his Clarence moment.
No.
And I think that's correct, because this he doesn't deserve the redemption. Because his life was such an evil, driving, hard force, and he never relented, ever. And he's had to pay for it ever since then. And maybe his chains are a little lighter at the end of it, but I think the weight that is lifted from Marley is not the chains that he forged in life, but something about his continued conscience that he's had in this realm, that he was able to make at least some difference in the world. And if you think about it, the ripple effect of Scrooge starts with the drop of Marley. I'm not sure the spirits would have had the same effect had Marley not come and warned you and spoke to you about all of this.
No, I would absolutely agree. Scrooge being who Scrooge is, he the way I see him, and that's just my personal view on the guy. I mean, he's the ultimate skeptic. He has been burned in life, and we see that later on. And some of it was his own doing, some of it was not. Some of it was circumstance, which is unfortunate. But I think that he has retreated past emotion and gone strictly into cold hard data. It's all about facts and figures and numbers, and that's his world. He lives in addition and subtraction, mostly subtraction, most likely. There's no room for anything supernatural. There's no room for anything fantastical. He does not have time for metaphor. He does not have time for any of that. And so when here comes Marley, this is I ate something funny.
Yeah.
That's got to be it.
How quickly you go to rationalize it.
Yeah, because, what else could it be?
Yeah,
because none of that stuff exists. Love does not exist.
Yeah.
Charity, compassion, empathy, those are just, they get in the way. They get in the way of the job. The job is counting.
Of efficiency.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if anything, Scrooge thrives on efficiency.
Oh gosh, yes.
And whatever the emotional sake of efficiency is, either way, is not an issue. Which we get to see, I think, in that Marley scene, is how quickly you go from you being frightened to... Yeah. Okay, now let me explain this. Hold on a second.
There's a couple of occasions there where I get the chance to kind of slide back in. Nah. Hold on a minute. Wait.
This isn't it.
Yeah. This doesn't even add up. There's no way this adds up.
There's not a ghost in here.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting too. Your first real question to him is, "Can you sit down?" Not, "Oh, why are you here, Jacob Marley?" It's, "Great, have a seat."
Are you able? Sit. Just sit.
I'm
gonna eat my dinner while you. Yes, just fine.
You do, yeah, truly. You continue eating, and I think that it says a lot about the way Scrooge not only views the spirits but the world in general, and that's why we have him continue to scare you. We have those yells that he has, those Marley yells, where we boost up the pitch shift and the echo on his microphone, and we have a lighting effect where the flames and the fire turn blue and light up, and
I never get to see because I'm always acting.
And there's a sound effect of a fireball. I mean, it's a tremendous moment of effects. For the sole purpose of frightening you.
He deserves it. He deserves it.
So then going back to Christmas Future, and talking about our skeletal friend, we think me and Darian, the assistant director, we talked a lot about this and how the spirits appear to Scrooge, and how I feel like Christmas past is always the same. Because the past cannot be changed.
Right.
She always appears the same, she looks the same, she sounds the same. Regardless of whether or not someone latches onto the lessons of past quickly, or like Scrooge, who truly need all three to bring them home. I think she always sounds the same. And then Christmas Present, I think, she talks about her enormous family.
Yeah.
I think everyone has their own Christmas present. Whoever sort of clocked in at the time is,
right.
Oh, great, we gotta go talk to them. Let's do that. But then Christmas Future, I believe to be sort of an amorphous shape, something that doesn't truly. No one has ever seen the true Christmas Future, what it as a spirit normally looks like, and in that meaning that Christmas Future appears to the people it's teaching a lesson to as whatever they need to see. And so we have, in our version, we have Christmas Future is made up of Belle, the love of Scrooge, Fan, Scrooge's sister, who died as a woman, and then a third one that I don't want to spoil. Yeah. But you come see the show, and if you've seen it, you know who I'm talking about. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, then come and check us out this final weekend. But it's this idea of Scrooge's past coming back to haunt him, and
I think that's appropriate. Scrooge's future is basically made up of heartbreak and regret. Mm-hmm. That's what you see is just a whole lot of I wish I hads and I could haves, and without divulging the identity of the third party in the unholy trinity. I would say, I think ultimately what you end up with there is everything in his life that has led him to that moment down the road, it comes and it literally weighs him down. Mm-hmm. Because we see the chains, and his own chains are being forged right there. And so, just like with Marley, all those things that he's done, they start to weigh him down, and it's just that last moment of repentance that, which is beautifully written. Good on you, Dickens. Good on you, playwright. It was well done. It's one of my favorite things to do in the play. It's extraordinarily melodramatic, but I do feel like that's absolutely right. It is an amorphous, strange, vague future, and I love the way that it's kind of like through this whole play. He's gently guided. He's gently guided through the past. It's a gentle hand all the way through it. Even in the difficult scenes, up until the point where he basically gets physically manhandled by Christmas Past. Everything's just very elegant and gentle, and then Christmas Present comes in and she's raucous and jubilant and just amazing. She does such a great job. She does. I'm biased, but she does a great job. Love you, honey. And then Scrooge becomes unstuck in time. Yeah. Up until this point, he's had a guide. He doesn't have a guide anymore. He has these three weird... it's almost like the witches in Macbeth. It's almost like anytime you have the trio, because 3 is a very powerful number. With the glitching and it's like the future isn't set yet, but this is kind of the way you're going. I think that was a really swell call on your part. I love what you did with that, and you will too if you come and see the show.
And it's I'm glad that you brought up the Witches of Macbeth, because there's this whole conversation that you can go to about Macbeth, about whether or not everything that was going to happen with Macbeth was preordained, or whether it happened because he went to go and see the witches, and the witches' prophecy changed him. That's a whole other fireside conversation to get into.
Yes.
But
when you do that play, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, but I think in talking with about these three that. And talking, going back to our conversation about the transitions, is that it's not, as you said, it's not guided anymore. It's you're very much thrown to each location, and so like because the lights freak out, there's strange sound effects that play. I mean, it feels. The way that I've described it is if you feel like time is a stream and the rocks and fish and everything in that stream are the people and the objects of the world, Christmas Future is a hand reaching in, grabbing something and throwing it a while away, and it's splashing back down. And so it should feel wrong and incorrect, because that's not the future we should be in. That's not the future of Scrooge. That's not the thing we should have. If everything goes according to plan, what we're viewing is something that won't happen. And I think for Future to be anything other than that chaotic presence of Scrooge, the lessons wouldn't be learned.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Especially with the Scrooge that has come about in this way, he needs that. He definitely does. That's one of the things I've really enjoyed about that. I've enjoyed finding this Scrooge. This has been an interesting journey. I'll say that.
Because very often Scrooge is portrayed as a sort of frail, old, bony man,
I am not those things. I am none of those things.
Yeah, and we made him almost more of a fat cat, and a little more of an actual force that, this Scrooge, if you don't have his money, could break you. He's not the frail old man. He not only is he monetarily a force of oppression, but physically he could be an oppressive person.
It's kind of fun to have Scrooge be intimidating physically.
Yeah,
he's not. It's all hunchbacked, pinch nose. They focus a lot, I think, just on his on his miserly personality.
Sure.
But there's a whole other side to him that there's a reason why people don't want to see him. There's a reason why people avoid him and they do not pay up.
Yeah,
and there's a reason for all of that.
And even though we don't necessarily get that moment of we don't ever see you physically impose yourself on someone. It's the looks. You give Bob a lot of looks. You give the people in the street at the very beginning of the play just a clearing of your throat. All they have to do is see you and understand. Okay, great, I'm done. I'll whatever you need. Yeah, they scurry away. You make Bob open the door for you. I mean, he is a presence to avoid that everyone has avoided for a long time.
After spending so much time as Scrooge, as he goes through all this, what's it like to do that complete reverse and do Christmas morning?
Oh, man. Okay, so this guy, let's preface it by saying, you have put me through the ringer repeatedly.
Make it work.
Yeah, you do. You absolutely do. It's okay because it's always a challenge, and I delight in it. I revel in the frustration and the agony of trying to make these things work. And you didn't disappoint. This one is also it's a suicide mission. It's to build from that character, to build from that almost like just an old thug, just a he doesn't have to go out and beat heads anymore. Now he just gives a look and it's done. To go from somebody who's got that kind of a life experience all the way through seeing him actually feel, and they stripped him down all the way to the core of who he is, and peel away all those layers like an onion, because onions have layers.
So do parfaits.
So do parfaits. That's great. And then we go into the present, where we start to see even more of what he could be, and how he starts to see what he really needs to be doing. He has that social conscience awakening, and then we go into the future where he finally has the great epiphany, and all of this it's huge. This massive, almost explosion of emotion at the end, and hard to do because when you act, you feel it. It's not mechanical. You feel what you're doing, and then to turn around and it's Christmas morning and to play someone different, totally different. Wow. And my Scrooge is he's a little manic. He's a little manic at the end. Almost to the point that he's probably a little scary in his joy. His joy is very threatening.
Because I mean, everyone that's around you in the final moments of the play that knows of you never knew of Scrooge any other way, and so to see some this object of oppression that we talked about to being a completely different thing.
I would run too.
Yeah, absolutely. He's skipping down the streets singing Christmas carols. You're like, whoa, wow, there's something quite wrong about all of this. So I think in seeing Scrooge be that, and what's kind of interesting too is Jacob Mangum, who plays young Ebenezer. In your joy, in talking to him, some of the moments you have in your joy at the end of the play, he then took from for the Night of Fezziwig, so that we see when he's a joyful person, we see the those moments of him. So
he's so good. He's so good.
Oh, he's wonderful.
Watch what he's doing. He's insidiously good. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna wrap up the conversation. We want to thank you all so much for tuning in and watching us and coming and supporting us at Clear Creek Community Theater. We have 4 shows this weekend, Friday and Saturday at 8 p.m. and then Saturday and Sunday at 2:30 p.m. But tickets are selling tremendously fast. So please. So please make your reservations quickly. And if you are coming down this weekend and enjoying your time with us, we want to remind you about our BYOB policy, which we certainly didn't forget. But you can bring in any bottle of wine or a 6-pack of beer, whatever you want, and for a modest corkage fee of just $3, we'll give you 2 glasses of wine or 2 great big frosty mugs for your beers. We can keep them chilled for you if you want it chilled during intermission, or you can take it into the house. It's totally up to you. But we have that. We've got hot chocolate. It's supposed to be a cold weekend. We've got plenty of hot chocolate and coffee and tea.
Has anybody brought a whole cooler in yet? I'm just curious.
Not yet, but I wouldn't put it past some of our patrons.
I mean,
so thank you all so much for tuning in, and most importantly, thank you all for coming and seeing the shows that we put on and supporting us, because it truly means a lot. Okay.
Scrooge fastened the door and walked up the stairs. Sitting room, bedroom, all as they should be. Nobody under the table, nobody under the sofa. A small fire in the grate, nobody under the bed, nobody in the closet. Quite satisfied, Scrooge closed his door and locked himself in, double-locked himself in, which was not his custom. Thus secured against surprise, he sat down before the fire. It was with astonishment and a strange, inexplicable dread that he heard a clanking noise deep down below. Scrooge then remembered to have heard that ghosts were described as dragging chains. Humbug!